All right, we are diving into a story that really pushes the limits of what we think we know about human consciousness. It all comes from the novel The Recognitions, and it hinges on one single moment that changes absolutely everything.
So picture this, two total strangers, a mathematician and a philosopher, in a busy New York coffee shop. And in a split second, something impossible happens. It's a moment where their reality, and maybe our whole understanding of it, just completely shatters.
So first, let's really break down what happened in that initial moment. It's an event so bizarre, so unexplainable, that it just upends the world for two people who have never met before. Now, this is so much more than that feeling of déjà vu. It's not like they just felt like they knew each other. No, they knew each other instantly. It's like the entire blueprint of the other person's mind was downloaded into their own. And this knowledge, it was undeniable, fully formed, and honestly, completely terrifying. Okay, so let's try to see this through Kira's eyes. You have to remember, her entire world is built on logic, on proof, on things you can measure. So how on earth does she begin to process an experience that just throws all of that out the window? Well, her brain immediately kicks into overdrive, trying to find a rational box to put this in. She starts running through all the logical possibilities, right? Maybe it was a massive chemical flood in the brain, trick of memory, or, and this is the really scary one, maybe they were both having a psychotic break at the exact same time. But the thing is, none of those explanations felt right, not even close. And this right here is the absolute key. Her own experience completely contradicts the idea of madness. This didn't feel like chaos or confusion, it felt like the exact opposite. It was this profound, shocking moment of clarity, almost like waking up from a lifelong fog she never even knew she was in. Now, on the complete other side of the coin, you have David. While Kira is wrestling with her scientific framework, David's background as a philosopher of mind actually gives him a very different and, you could say, a much more open way of looking at this impossible event.
David, he also goes through the rational explanations, just like Kira, but he approaches it like a true philosopher. He systematically takes each one apart, finds it lacking, and is left with only one possible path forward. He has to accept the evidence of his own experience, no matter how wild it seems. He concludes that something impossible had in fact just happened. Period. And this comparison just lays out the central conflict of their entire journey so perfectly. It's a debate that's been raging in philosophy for centuries. You have Kira, who represents the materialist view. The brain produces consciousness, like a computer running software. But then you have David, who's leaning towards something else entirely, that consciousness is fundamental, and the brain is more like a radio receiver tuning into it. So was this a glitch in the hardware, or did the radio just pick up a signal from a station it wasn't supposed to find? Now, with these completely opposing worldviews, you would think they'd just agree to disagree and walk away. But instead, it's like the universe decides to double down, throwing more and more impossible evidence at them, forcing them to find some common ground. So, get this. During their very first proper conversation, a simple, accidental touch between them triggers something else. For exactly 17 seconds, the line separating me from you just vanishes. This wasn't telepathy. It wasn't one person sending thoughts to the other. Both of them described it as a complete and total merger. For those 17 seconds, they didn't just know what the other was thinking, they literally became each other, seeing the world from inside the other person's head. And the weirdness just keeps ramping up. After the initial recognition, they start having the same, incredibly specific dreams. Then, without any communication, they both show up at the same obscure lecture, then the same museum. They're even drawn to the exact same ancient artifact. I mean, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Okay, so you're faced with this mountain of evidence. It's all subjective, sure, but it feels undeniably real. What do? Well, if you're two rational people pushed to the edge of reason, you do the only thing you can do. You design an experiment. The goal is simple, but the stakes are incredibly high. Can this connection that feels so real to them actually produce cold, hard, objective data? Can they prove to the world, and more importantly to themselves, that this isn't just some beautiful, elaborate, shared delusion? Their friend, a neuroscientist, designs a protocol that is absolutely airtight. They're in separate, soundproofed rooms, no way to cheat, no sensory leakage. Kira will be shown a series of random images, and David, the receiver, just has to record whatever pops into his head. The question is as simple as it is profound.
Can a thought travel from her mind to his with no physical connection?
And just like that, the test begins. The first image flashes on Kara's screen, a tree. Everything hangs on this moment. This one experiment has the power to either prove their entire world-shattering experience was real, or to collapse it all into a fascinating but ultimately tragic psychological case study. So the experiment is running. But really, whatever the results are, their journey forces us to ask a huge question, a really huge question. Are we all just isolated islands of awareness, locked inside our own skulls? Or is it possible that we're all far more connected than our current science can even begin to imagine?